It all began in silence. No public announcement. No flashy press conference. Just a coded message sent in the middle of the night. A team of 50 highly trained American soldiers was ordered to move quietly across the U.S.-Mexico border. Their mission was top secret. Not even their families knew where they were going. No news, no cameras. Just orders. Go in. Get it done. Come back alive. Their target? A powerful criminal group operating deep in northern Mexico. Not just any cartel, this group was different. Smarter. More violent. Heavily armed and deeply connected. For months, they had been behind a wave of killings, kidnappings, and smuggling operations across the border. Guns, drugs, and even humans were being moved like pieces on a chessboard, and the cartel was always 5 steps ahead. But this time, the US wanted to hit back. The order came from high up: take them down before they get bolder. The American people didn't know, but this mission was part of a quiet war. A war the government couldn't admit out loud. The 50 soldiers chosen weren't regular troops. They were elite men who had seen combat, survived ambushes, and led impossible missions around the world. These were the best of the best. The kind of soldiers you only send in when things are already on fire. They crossed the border under the cover of darkness, no lights, no sounds, just shadows moving fast. The mission plan was simple: infiltrate, locate the cartel base, collect intel, and destroy their weapons stash. The soldiers moved through the desert on foot, carrying everything they needed: ammo, gear, food, water. They couldn't risk any vehicles. The bandits had drones watching roads. One wrong move and the whole operation could collapse. By day, they hid in dry riverbeds and caves. At night, they moved like ghosts. Every step was careful. Every sound was checked. They knew they were behind enemy lines, in a land where law no longer existed. The locals called the area La Zona Muerta, the dead zone. No police. No safety. No return if you got caught. As the days passed, strange things started happening. Their satellite phones stopped working. GPS signals vanished. Their night vision equipment glitched. At first, they thought it was just technical trouble. Dust, heat, interference. But soon, it felt like something else, something worse. They were being watched. One of the soldiers noticed movement in the hills. Another swore he saw blinking lights in the sky, like drones tracking their path. They kept going, but tension built with every mile. Something was wrong, but they had no choice. Orders were orders. They finally reached a valley that intelligence reports claimed was the heart of the cartel's operations. Thick forest surrounded it. There were whispers of an old mining facility nearby, now turned into a weapons depot. If they could find it, they'd cripple the cartel's firepower for months. As they entered the valley just before sunrise, everything went quiet. Too quiet. No birds. No insects. Just the sound of boots crunching on dry leaves and heavy breaths in the early morning cold. Then came the signal. One of the scouts raised his fist. Movement ahead. The soldiers dropped low, weapons ready. They advanced in formation, silent and sharp. But what they didn't know was that they were walking straight into a trap. The bandits had been watching them from the start. Somehow, they knew the Americans were coming. Somehow, they knew their route, their timing, their entire plan. And now, the trap was set. As the soldiers moved deeper into the valley, the enemy closed in from both sides, hidden in trees, buried in dirt, perched on rocks, waiting. Guns loaded. Fingers on triggers. The American team didn't stand a chance. They thought they were the hunters. But they were already the prey. The valley looked peaceful. Still. Almost too calm. The American soldiers spread out as they moved, eyes scanning every corner. Guns tight in their hands. No one spoke. Their mission was close to its final stage: find the cartel's weapons site, confirm its location, call in air support, and get out. But in that silence, death was waiting. Suddenly, boom, the first explosion ripped through the trees. One soldier was thrown off his feet, body limp before it hit the ground. Before anyone could react, rat-tat-tat. Gunfire exploded from every direction. It wasn't a warning. It wasn't random. It was war. The soldiers hit the ground, crawling for cover behind trees, rocks, and anything they could find. But the ambush was perfect. The enemy had the high ground, the numbers, and the timing. The American team had walked into a killing box. Bullets sliced through the air like angry bees. The soldiers fired back, laying down cover fire, but they couldn't see the enemy. The bandits were ghosts in the trees, dressed in dark camo, using silenced rifles and night vision. Every time a soldier poked his head up, bang! Another man down. Fall back! Fall back, one of the leaders shouted. But there was nowhere to run. Behind them, land mines. To the left, a steep drop. To the right, a wall of trees, thick and dark, with more gunfire waiting. They were surrounded. Radio calls for help went unanswered. Their signals had been jammed. GPS, dead. Drones, gone. The entire system had been knocked out. The bandits had planned this like professionals. One by one, the soldiers fell. Some shot clean. Others hit by grenades. Smoke filled the valley. The smell of blood and gunpowder hung in the air. Screams echoed for a few seconds, then silence followed. The kind of silence that feels final. Some of the Americans tried to push forward, fighting their way toward the old mining facility they were supposed to raid. They never made it. The path had been booby-trapped with explosives. One wrong step, boom. Dust and body parts in the air. In less than 30 minutes, it was over. All 50 American soldiers dead. Not a single survivor. The bandits moved in slowly, like wolves circling their prey. They checked the bodies, took the weapons, and burned anything they didn't need. Some held up American dog tags like trophies. Others laughed as they kicked over fallen soldiers. It wasn't just an attack. It was a message. They recorded everything on phones. Video clips of the dead soldiers. Burned American flags. Bullet-riddled uniforms. They wanted the world to see what had happened in that valley. Back in the US, no one knew. The mission had been blacked out, secret, untraceable, unapproved. No press, no media, no leaks. But when the soldiers failed to report back, alarms started ringing in Washington. 3 hours passed. Then 6. Then 12. By the next day, the truth started to break. An unmarked drone finally captured footage of the valley, a graveyard of American soldiers. Smoke still rising. Blood on the rocks. Guns scattered like trash. The image hit like a hammer. The United States had just lost 50 elite soldiers. Not in a foreign battlefield, but in Mexico. On a mission no one was supposed to know about. And the killers? Still out there. Armed. Laughing. Unstoppable. The American government was in shock. The military went quiet. No press statement. No admission. Just silence. But the internet wouldn't stay quiet for long. The bandits had uploaded their videos to the dark web, and from there, the clips spread like wildfire. Images of fallen soldiers. Screen grabs of dog tags. Burned flags. The kind of pictures that go viral in minutes and spark global anger. Social media exploded. #50fallen started trending. News channels scrambled for details. People wanted answers. Who were these bandits? How did they know about the mission? Why were American soldiers in Mexico in the first place? The questions were loud. But the answers were missing. All that was left was pain. And the promise of revenge. The world woke up to chaos. The first real news came not from the government, but from the internet. A grainy video surfaced, shot on a phone, shaky and brutal. It showed the aftermath of the ambush. Bodies of American soldiers, burnt gear, blood-stained uniforms. The American flag, torn and on fire. In just hours, the clip spread across Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. It was undeniable. 50 American soldiers were dead. In Mexico. On a mission nobody knew about. People were shocked. Angry. Confused. Questions flooded in from every corner of the world. How did this happen? Why were American troops operating secretly in Mexico? And who were the killers that pulled it off so perfectly? The US government had no choice. They held a press conference, short, cold, and filled with more silence than answers. A White House spokesperson confirmed the loss of personnel during an undisclosed counter-cartel operation. No names. No mission details. Just vague words. But the damage was already done. In homes across America, families were shattered. 50 homes. 50 mothers. 50 fathers. Wives, husbands, kids waiting for someone to knock on the door. When that knock came, it wasn't hope. It was heartbreak. Tears flowed. Flags were lowered. But there were no real explanations. Then came the firestorm online. Hashtags exploded, #Mexico Massacre, #Fallen50, #Cartel Attack. People demanded justice. Some blamed the president for sending troops without proper support. Others blamed Mexican authorities for allowing cartels to grow that powerful. And some believed it wasn't just bandits, they said it had to be an inside job. Conspiracy theories went viral. The mission was leaked. Someone in the Mexican army sold the intel. A rival government wanted the mission to fail. The soldiers were never supposed to make it back. But one thing was clear, the cartel responsible had just become global. Within a day, major news outlets confirmed the group behind the ambush, Los Muertos Rojos, the Red Death. This wasn't just a drug gang. This was a paramilitary force. Trained, funded, armed with high-grade weapons, some even US-made. Sources revealed they had night vision drones, satellite jammers, and encrypted radios. Someone was supplying them. The Mexican president went on live TV. He called the ambush a tragedy and an act of war against peace. He promised full cooperation with the US, but his face said something else, fear. Because deep down, everyone knew the truth. The cartel had taken control of that region. Police didn't go there. The army didn't dare step in. It was lawless land, and now, it was soaked in American blood. Back in the US, calls for revenge grew louder. Military veterans, politicians, and everyday citizens called for airstrikes, for raids, for full-blown war against the cartel. You don't kill 50 of our best and walk away laughing, one senator said on live TV. But Washington was careful. They didn't want to start a war on Mexican soil, not officially. So they turned to covert plans. Intel gathering. Drone surveillance. Sleeper missions. The kind of quiet payback the public wouldn't see coming. Meanwhile, the families of the fallen were left with folded flags, sealed caskets, and memories of soldiers who never got a chance to fight back. At Arlington Cemetery, 50 fresh graves stood in a row. No music. No crowds. Just the sound of wind and the occasional tear hitting the ground. One mother screamed, "Why did they send my son to die in a country that wasn't even at war?" And no one had an answer. Across the border, the cartel disappeared into the mountains untouched, unbothered, and still armed. For them, it was a victory. A message to the world, even the strongest army can fall if you're smart enough, brutal enough, and ready. Weeks later, another video surfaced. A masked man stood in front of a burning American vehicle. Behind him, cartel fighters cheered. In perfect English, he spoke. "Tell your president, send more. We're ready." That video broke the internet again. The US didn't respond publicly, but something changed in the air, a quiet rage building, planning, waiting. Because this wasn't just a mission gone wrong. It was a new chapter in a hidden war. And the blood of 50 American soldiers would not be forgotten. Not by their families. Not by their country. Not by history. This was not the end.